Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend. I'm back. It's Sunday, December 4th, 2022. We're almost done with the year. I hope everybody is well. Hi, Ashley. I'm pretty good. My hair's wet. I went for a late walk. I was sort of avoiding it because it's only 40 here, which I know is warm compared to some other places this time of the year. But I just didn't want, I just didn't want to be cold, but I was actually pretty warm. Anyway, so I'm good. I'm working on balancing myself physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Hi, Devry. Oh, that's you. I didn't know that. I was wondering. I was like, who's this new person? But it was a nice walk. I bought new shoes. I bought some Hokas because I saw like them recommended a lot on TikTok, and I tend to over supinate instead of over pronate. So I roll a little bit on the outside of my heel. So I bought the ones called the Bondies, and they have like a really wide base and whatever. I really like them. Anyway, so that's that. That's my excitement. We're getting ready for Christmas and Hanukkah because we celebrate both. So there's that. But I was going to say something about when you find balance and when you I've noticed people saying like when you're going through and you say you've cut off family members or you have cut people out of your life that are, hi, Elena, welcome. Thank you for joining. Of course I do. So every Sunday I do this here. It's $12 a question. I send 30% to charity, and I most often give to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey because every dollar provides 3 meals. And I apologize, I haven't been great about my bookkeeping, so I'm going to be doing that this week. So next week I will have a list and tell you exactly how much money we've raised this year and donated to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. I did donate to a couple other places like the ACLU and Planned Parenthood at points. So there's that. I sometimes do lives over on TikTok, not as frequently. I try to do them once a week there too. I don't charge there, but I also don't guarantee that you're getting a reading there. I just say I'm going to be on for an hour, and that's what I do. And I just answer a couple of people's questions. I also offer private readings. So if you ever want a private reading, you can go to myspiritualfriend.com and purchase one there. And then it'll let me know you purchased one. And then I email you and I say, what's good for you? I'll see if I can make that work. So that's the way I work. I'm going to put a calendar up eventually because people feel better about that. Lunchtime. So I try to do like around noon, 12:15 or so. I don't know why. It just feels like, because my kids are, well, one of my daughters is not because she's homeschooled, but the other two are in school. And I figure that then people who are in other parts of it's kind of random. So you have to follow me on there. And if you follow me on there, I always schedule it. So you'll get like a thing ahead of time to say when I'm going to be live. And you can check in. It's much more random. It's not as consistent as here. Okay. So if you guys want to start. Oh, I was saying anyway, so as you're starting, when people say like, oh, he talks about how hard it is really hard when you decide to break free of having people in your life that are, regardless of what you do and boundaries that you try to set, they just aren't very respectful and they, suck the life out of you, essentially. Sometimes they come back. But what's really interesting is when you've done the self-concept work, I talk about that all the time, like working on how we speak to ourselves. What follows I am is really, really important. And like reprogramming our brain, because I believe it's possible to do that. I believe it's possible to learn how to, I've done it, to like really care and like yourself, care for yourself and like yourself, and love yourself. When they come back and they do that, you go, huh, that's funny. That's really, how did I not see that before? Like you are able to respond in a calm manner and they're completely unhinged. So it's interesting. Rose, who is on here sometimes. Ashley, I don't know if you remember Rose, who's in Florida. She found me on TikTok, and it was really cute. She was like hearting away. So, okay. Ashley, you want to ask your question? I might start posting some of my TikToks over here, just cross posting the way I do over on Instagram, because some of people are on one platform and not the other. So listen, I talk about it a lot. It's not something, it's like some people are better about it than others. It's just the boundaries really aren't for them, right? It's for you to get clear on the behavior or the way you want to be treated or what you expect or what makes you feel good. If you don't know exactly what the line is, it's really hard to have healthy relationships. If you're like, well, so it's like it's a self check-in with you. Like you can't. I always use the example of the purple shoes. Oh, I'll look at the PayPal. I always use the example of purple shoes, right? So like I may have a rule, and because remember, boundaries don't have to make sense. Like they don't. It doesn't have to be what everybody else wants. Like this is why I use this one. So can't wear purple shoes in my house. And you have this person that comes over and they're always showing up in purple shoes, and they're like, well, everybody else down the street lets you wear purple shoes. I don't understand. Like everybody does this, because when you're setting boundaries, you're going to hear that you're the only one who has a problem with this. Everybody else is fine with it. You'll hear it. I'm telling you, you'll hear it. And hang on just a second. Okay. So you want to know about if you're staying where you're at or leaving, and you also want to know about your work visa. I've started with you know who, yes, and I've stopped talking. He doesn't seem to be liking it. Well, and they don't. So the minute that you set a boundary with somebody and they don't like it, right? Because they're used to being able to behave however they choose. They lash out. They're almost like a petulant little child. You know, it's a sense of a tantrum. So, hi Regine. Oh, happy anniversary! I'm so glad you. I love that. You're very welcome. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is when people. That's one thing I've learned since setting boundaries. When people lash out at you. So something that happened recently was I was on a TikTok live, and a family member who's younger, but of age, legal, she's older, was like, why don't you talk to us anymore? And I was like, well, this isn't really the place. This isn't my business. And, if you want to talk to me, you can text me or call me. No problem. You don't have to have your mom with you. You're old enough. Then I got a nasty message from her mother. And so I went and I took a clip because on TikTok live, they don't like the lives here stay on the platform, but they don't over there. But as a creator, I have access to them still. So I took the clip, I edited, just cut, the ends of it because they didn't need to send an hour's worth of video out. And I said, and I sent it to the whole family because this person likes to talk poorly about people. And I said, this is what happened. I am minding my own business. And this happened. And then a week later, I got this nasty message. And I didn't even make a big stink about this person coming onto my live. I just messaged my husband. I was like, this is my problem. And I said, it's a lack of respect and lack of boundaries. And I said, but don't say anything. Like, it's not even worth. But then this other person emailed me texted me and then emailed me because I apparently didn't respond fast enough to her. And it was completely unhinged. So I sent it to the whole family. I said, decide for yourself. You can see who's what. Here's the facts. I'm not calling anybody names. This is what happened. Take it for what it's worth. And then it was to the rest of the family. oh, this was supposed to be private. Mind you, she was on my public platform. And then to me sent another unhinged message. So my point being, I was able to look at it and go, oh, you aren't required to respond in a certain amount of time to people. You can take your time. You don't have to just quick, sometimes it's better to gather your thoughts and go, well, what am I really upset about here? What's really the problem? Who's, is this worth it? So you were thanking me in your head the other day because you have a completely different attitude. After almost 5 years, you did say the last time I was going to change my mind about him, and it's happening. Yeah. I mean, what happens is when you start to love yourself, it's not that like sometimes those people turn around and they go, oh my God, but what oftentimes happens, and I'm not saying it never happens, like when we talk about manifesting, but what oftentimes happens is we just go, oh, I don't have to tolerate this anymore. And the world's going to show up in a different way for me because I'm requiring it now. Hi, Heron. Claire, both. Am I externally or internally? So you can be both. So sometimes I hear it outside of my head. More often than not, it's inside of my head. So, and I'll tell you why it happens outside versus inside. The outside stuff is usually if I'm not listening to the more subtle stuff where they're like, oh, let me get your attention. So I listen to the subtle stuff. So then it's not, because that's pretty jarring. Yeah. And clairvoyance, it just depends. So sometimes I see it in my mind's eye, but oftentimes I see spirit around. Okay, so let's talk about this. And welcome, Heron. I'm sorry I missed you before and didn't say hello. Okay, so, or is it Haroon? I don't know why I wanted to say Haroon. All right, let's look at it. So when I read about your visa, it was like, of course she's going to get it. It's fine. Like it literally feels like this is a no-brainer. She needs to stop worrying about it. And I asked if you're going to stay where you're at or whether you're going to move. And I feel like you're going to be staying where you're at. And it's not that I feel like you're so over the moon happy where you're at. I just feel like exhausted, and it's just easier to stay where you're at than move. Oh, no, you didn't say anything wrong. No, I just ramble. And then sometimes I miss. And then I'm like, oh, here we are. So nothing personal. I'm sorry if I didn't mean to make you feel like you did anything wrong. Nothing wrong at all. And there's questions that I don't mind answering that I won't charge anybody for because I think that's educational for everybody. It's not, so. Yeah. So I don't, like I said, it's not that I feel like you're really happy there. I just feel like it's like, I feel exhausted and like, I don't want another big change again. Job changes while they happen more frequently for people now than they used to, it's still a big stressor. They used to say that those were one of I know over time as life changes or as the world changes, they talk about the biggest traumas that you can experience in life. And now it's like loss of a child. But, 200 years ago, that wasn't because it was so commonplace. And so it's like loss of a child, loss of spouse, big move, job change. So that is a big stressor. But I don't feel like you will. I just feel like it's just exhausted and I'm going to stay there. And I don't know if it's 2 years total that you're there or 2 more years. Have you applied for permanent residency? Because I feel like within the next 5 years, you're going to have some kind of citizenship there. I don't know that it's better or more so that it's just you're more used to it and sort of like it's sort of the way it, like more resigned to the fact that it is the way it is. Like They just do things differently. I think one thing I learned as a nurse, I started in Austin, and then I moved to Texas Children's in Houston, and I worked in the NICU there. And they did things differently. And I would ask, like, I'd be like, well, why? I don't know. I was asking because I wanted to understand the theory behind it, not because I was thinking this is worse or better, or I just wanted to understand it. And people didn't really like that. Sometimes things were just different. And then when I went to New York as a travel nurse, I worked in several different facilities up here. And you just sort of learn that, like, wherever you are, there's good and there's bad. And you just make the most of it wherever you are. And you have to look at so I worked at one place, which was, and I'm not even going to say what kind of a place it was or where it was, because whatever. But I had another travel nurse be like, oh my God, how have you been here so long? Because I was there for almost a year. How have you been here so long? It's terrible. And I said, because what I do is I said, number one, I want to stay in New York, and I need a job to stay in New York. Like I wanted to stay as a travel nurse in New York. And so, like, I'm not really here for, I was like, it's not a great position. But I said, also, what I do is I don't work on any particular floor. I float so that I'm not in any of the drama. I just want to come to work and do my job and take care of kids and then go home. And so that's how you survive. So you find a way. So it feels like you're going to find a way. It'll be okay. And you'll sort of accept what it is. Yeah. So I think you'll renew it to a permanent one. But I also feel like within the next 5 years, you're going to have permanent residency or citizenship or something to where you're not having to worry about having a job there. You'll just be working. Hi, Aaliyah. Welcome. Oh, okay. So within the next 5 years, you'll have that all settled. Loving this so far and love the story about your family. I don't want to derail session, but how do you recommend we ask questions? Oh, so it just depends on the person. So some people, Elena, will say, can I have a general reading? And those are always interesting. So sometimes I'll just get a whole bunch of information. And then if I feel like it, I might say, like, do you want me to look more at work, love, whatever? And general readings can be anything. You can also be specific. Like, so she said in her email, like, she sent it in with her payment. And it was like, where do you see me in the fall? Am I going to still be here or whatever? Like it's a little bit more specific. It just depends on what you want. And sometimes when you write your question, if you say, should I, I'll be like, okay, we're not asking it that way. Let's do it a different way. And I'll help you ask it so that we get the best response. And I know that sounds weird, but when you do this work, it really is like 20 questions. And so sometimes when you ask something, I'll ask it that way. And I'll be like, I don't feel like this is. And so then I'll ask it slightly differently and you get more information. Like I don't know why, but like, and a lot of readers will tell you this, they don't just like dump out information. So like, even when we're doing the general, I'll say, what do they really need to know in this moment? That's the way I ask the question. Because they don't, otherwise it's like I sit in a room and there's just like stuff spinning around and I'm like, what do I want to grab at? And I don't blame you not wanting to come back to the US. There's, from what I hear from people, there's like a lot of benefits to living in other places. Culturally, healthcare wise, financially speaking. No, you're not. And every time you've asked me this, you're like, oh, you're going to be fine. It's going to work out. Yeah, there's healthcare benefits. There's also just life benefits. There are. I mean, we're taught it's everywhere has its good and its bad, but there's a lot of really wonderful things in other places too. And I think because the United States is so huge, a lot of people don't travel outside of it, and they don't see. They just don't see that there's benefits to other places and how people live differently and value human life differently. But there's, racism and terrible things everywhere. Okay, Aaliyah, I got your payment. Hang on. Let me see everybody's payments, and I'll put you in list. Okay, so Devery, if you want to ask your question, and then I'll update the list. Sorry, if you're new here, by the way, I do chat a little bit because otherwise I feel like a machine. It's just, and Regine, I got your payment too, so let me update my list. Or a magic 8-ball. I don't know why I think my computer's touch screen sometimes. It's not. Hello. Why aren't we working? The Northeast is really pretty. I've only been to like Rhode Island once. So I've never been to like Boston or any of that area. Hang on, I have an interrupter. Yes, ma'am.
How long is the reading going to take?
I don't know. However long it takes.
Yeah, but how long is it gonna take?
I don't know. I have several more questions.
Can I go on YouTube?
No, you can. Oh, you want to watch me?
No, can I go on?
No, I don't want you on there. I know I'm such a meanie pants. Ooh. Oh, don't do your cute little sweet face. No, I don't want you on here today. Thank you so much. No, thank you. No, thank you. Real quick. Super duper quick. Just like duck in and out. Like a bolt of lightning. Okay, ready? Can you do it? Okay. Okay. All right. I love you. Casey. All right. Go on upstairs. Is Daddy back yet?
No.
Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. I just want to look at the list really quick. Was being a little front. Okay. Regine. Elena. And Aaliyah. Hang on. Yours has your question in here. Let's see. Okay. So love. And okay. She's got crazy hair, so she came to me. I don't remember what day it was. She's like, Mom, can I have a private moment? And I was like, sure, you can have a private moment, which means she just wants to go in a room and tell me something by herself. And so we went into my room and she goes, Mom, it's okay if I cut my hair a little bit. And it was just like a little bit like this, and she's got curly hair like mine when it's normally hers is totally but frizzy and crazy right now because I brushed it out to pull her hair up. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's long enough. We still get it back in a ponytail. It's fine. I was like, it'll grow out. It's fine. I was like, just don't do it again. Ask for help. Okay. So let's update the list really quick. So Devery, I got you. Regine, Elena, and Aaliyah. There we go. And someone else just paid for something. Hold on. Oh, Elena, you have 2 questions? Okay, so I'll make sure you get 2. Okay. All right. Okay, I thought about doing my CDN thing with building my own product store, but more interested now in a pre-built store. So question, will I be successful doing the pre-built store instead? I actually feel like, yeah, because I feel like you were getting stuck on, remember I said it's like you're going to go slightly in and then you're going to change something. It felt like getting stuck on the details that were sort of hindering you, and then finding it to be a little bit more overwhelming and frustrating. Um, Did the pre-built store come with something like I don't know if this is what it's on, so I don't know if this is the platform you're talking about, but this is the example I'm giving. So say you have a pre-built Etsy store where they said, okay, we either give you the templates for, or like once you have it set up and you're working for the first couple months, we give you as part of the package like so many new listings per month or whatever. Oh, yeah, I'm very open about what I do, and, in fact, all my kids have I don't like to call them gifts because I think everybody is intuitive. I just have a lot of it naturally, and, then I've practiced a lot to hone it. They all have their own experiences, and it's really interesting to see how different, but then it also shows me, like, when I teach people how to develop their own abilities, that it's not just one certain way. We're all individual beings, so we all communicate with spirit differently. I mean, there's some commonalities, but we all sort of have our own flavor for it. So, um, that little one is very claircognizant, like she just knows stuff. It's funny. And she has seen spirit before, but she's still really little. And my middle one is always been really, really extra sensitive. Right. So maybe it's like Shopify or something like that, but it feels like, okay, perfect. So it just feels like it makes it easier for you and takes the stress off. So yes, I feel like that's the way to go. I also feel like you're probably like, if there's an advertising or something built in, they're like making me feel like you may want to do a little bit more on top of it. Oh, and we talk about reincarnation, and we talk about just also that, like, my middle daughter was like, my friend said they don't see this stuff, and I'm like, well, there's like lots of experiences you're going to have in life where other people are going to be able to do something or have something that you don't connect with and don't understand, and that's okay. Like, not everybody does do what we do. So what do you mean an area to go in? Oh, products. um I'm not making the suggestion, I'm just showing you the feeling I get. So I think it's what you sent me before, some of that, but I also think other home good style products. So, because I'm like, I keep asking, like, are there t-shirts or anything like that? And I don't feel that. I feel like it's more home goods based. Oh, okay. I'll refund you. It's not a big deal. I don't mind. Or you can ask 2 questions. So it feels like, so I keep seeing, like, I don't know, I keep seeing little wooden things, like little wooden decorative things that are maybe personalized or something, like, or just even just pretty little whatever. And it just feels like um practical but pretty is the best way I could put it. So, but definitely still what you were all the other one you sent me. I don't know if you want me to tell people. That's why I'm trying to, like, um it will be, but I don't think it's going to be as slow as you think. And I don't know that it's your niche you need to worry about. They're like, it's her SEO. So, like, maybe even just start researching what SEO is. It's the keyword stuff, how to, like, pop things up. Um, of course. Um, I always feel like if people do, I try to answer and respond to things. I don't want to ignore people because I feel like we're in a room together essentially. And also other people are curious about those things. Hi, spiritual seeker. Welcome. It's good to see you again. So it feels like needing to research that and the keywords so that you pop up and are found more so than niching. So maybe research on TikTok or YouTube, SEO for those type of products or how to find the thing. Yeah, going with that idea is going to be fine. It just feels like finding the right keywords to it is really going to be your thing. Okay, so let's move on then. And it may be even that you work with somebody a little bit to help you with that. Like maybe you get a coaching thing or you join like a Facebook group page. But I feel like there's somebody that's going to be helping you that specializes in that. So it may not be necessarily a huge investment financially, but it's the time to do the research and stuff and understand it a little bit better. Yeah, of course. Regine, you want to ask your question? It's funny. Even though I knew it was you, Devry, I put DJ up there. Elena, I'm going to put you down for 2 if you want. Since you paid for it, or I can if you decide you want to change your mind, I can refund you too. Wait, it's marketing. Oh, okay. Okay. When do I see you moving? Sorry. I probably should have my reading glasses down here. Okay. It's probably not when you want to hear this, but I heard not until September. And I feel like that's the case because it's financial, but the first part of it feels more that your sister really needs you there to help financially with where you're at. And it's also financial because it feels like not a lot available and needing to save up more money or have a huger, and it's like, I'll just wait for the market to change just a little bit. So then they're not requiring so much up front. I don't think so. So at first I heard yes, but then I was like, and then when I asked the question out loud, like not out loud, in my head as a full, I got no. And very clearly. I feel like she finds it might even be, so if you're in a complex, it might be I found there's a little bit smaller of a place that I can afford easier. So, maybe you're in a 2-bedroom and she goes to a 1-bedroom or something like that. Oh, yes. I get it. I've lived with sisters before too, as an adult. It's hard. Yeah. I don't speak with my sisters, but and I don't hate them. They don't respect boundaries and things. So I get it. It's hard. Family's hard. And I also don't have, I don't know. I don't have the viewpoint of like you should tolerate all kinds of craziness just because you're genetically related. Like, get it together. You know what I mean? I always love when people laugh in Spanish, by the way. I don't know why. Okay. Let's keep moving. Elena, if you want to ask your questions, and then I know I've got somebody else on here who purchased another question. Spiritual seeker. You're very welcome, Regine, and happy anniversary. I got you. I got you. This might be a little quiet Sunday, and that's okay. I was so excited, y'all. So this woman reached out to me. She said, I came across your TikTok and I wanted to have a private reading. And she's like, it was like spot on. You know, she ended up having a reading. And I always, most of my clients I get from word of mouth, right? Or you guys here because you've seen me, you know, enough that you feel safe, et cetera, et cetera. And she was like, my friend is going to get a reading. I told her I would see if you were the real deal or not first. And that's huge because again, word of mouth is really how, and it's how you should find a reader is word of mouth. Happy anniversary. Thank you. Okay. Elena, what is your question? And welcome whoever showed up. Oh, here's my chapstick. Elena, are you here? There might be a little delay. My hair is so wet. I put a different filter on my light so it doesn't look so like sterile. But now I just feel like I don't know, tanning salon. Elena, are you here? If Elena's not here, Aaliyah, I can answer your question while I'm waiting for Elena. Elena, are you here? My hair is so wet. Okay, so you wanted to know about Jordan and love in 2023 and babies. Okay. So the first thing when even when I read your question with Jordan, I just saw this really big smile. Like he's got a great smile. I don't see you breaking up. So I want to say that. So I want to, because when I say this, it might sound like, oh, that sounds not so great. But like they make me feel like you're not emotionally compatible. It's like there's a, it's not that he's not caring, but I feel like he'll lead with a joke. when you're talking about something or if things get serious, he'll run into, starting to make a joke or try and make you laugh rather than, honor where you're at. Um, he feels really young. I'm not like teenager young. I'm not saying that. Um, so they're sort of talking about, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. There's going to be a baby. I want to be really clear, but they want to talk about this stuff first. Okay. 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 So it's not to pick on him and be like, he's a terrible guy, right? But it's like when you struggle, your struggle comes from when your frustration comes in. It's like, you don't feel like you're being seen or heard when you have something that comes up. And he becomes like a little bit like, it's like, feels like, what do they call it? Like when you're boxing, like ducking and weaving, keep your feet moving. Like, I feel like he's like it's really hard for him to take responsibility. And I learned this, and I swear to God, this little phrase really helps, especially when you're dealing with somebody who gets really kind of defensive and doesn't want to take. It's okay, Elena, don't worry. Don't worry. You can always, if you need to, you can always, I can give you my email, or you can message me that way. It's fine. Don't worry. Oh, I'm glad you feel safe. Okay. So, so this little tip I learned, and it really worked. And I'm telling you, it works because I have a friend who I sort of was like, I was really questioning maintaining the friendship because it was very unbalanced and very one-sided. And while I really care about her as a person, I was just like, and I don't think she's evil. I was just like, this is becoming exhausting, and there's no, it's not a balanced friendship. And when she started to become defensive, or she said something like, oh, I'm a terrible person, and I stopped her and I said, I don't want you to disparage yourself. I want to feel like you hear me. So I didn't say you never listen to me. And I think that's huge, because it does feel like, and I'm bringing this up because I feel like it's that feeling of like when you're telling him something, Aaliyah, he doesn't hear you and you don't feel like you're being heard. And it's this feeling of, if you just say that one thing of, I want to feel like you hear me. And so when I said that, she stopped and listened, and she's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Cause I don't want her to, like, that's not my goal, is for her to talk bad about herself and totally break herself down. It was just like, I just want to feel like I'm being heard. That's it. And saying in the sense of like, this is what I want from it, rather than going, you never do this. Cause then it's like breaking him down and puts him even more on the defense. So it just feels like, it literally feels like one little change like that will shift so much within your relationship. So it's not that, I don't feel like he's so terrible. It just feels like I don't want to I'm not a bad guy. Like, I don't want to take responsibility. Ducking and weaving, ducking and weaving. It just feels like if you did that, it would shift a lot within the relationship. The other thing I got, because you're asking about a baby, is I do feel like there'll be a pregnancy at the end of 2023, but I genuinely, and I want to say this, feel like it might end in miscarriage, like a very early pregnancy. They would call it like a chemical pregnancy, or something like that. There's another name for it, something molar or something like that. So it feels more like 2024 for a pregnancy. Okay. Not this coming. It feels like what you focus on in 2023 is a lot of the communication stuff and just having a healthier foundation. So see, sometimes they show me where your struggles are, not because this is the worst thing ever. It's just like, oh, this is really could make this a little easier. And part of it is his age because he's young. And I don't want to give every guy a pass. Like, you don't, but we live in a society that gives guys passes. So they aren't forced to like the emotional, and just in general, we've had generations upon generations of people who, don't value emotions. And I saw something the other day on TikTok that was like, oh, you're mad that you honor everybody's, hang on. I just need to. Sorry, just someone who was trying to post inappropriate things. And luckily, there's just spammy stuff, but like, corn. Okay. What was my thoughts? They do this really just because it's like they see you struggle over and over and over with the same thing, and they're like, okay, here's a little nugget. He's 32. Oh, he feels like 28 is what I kept getting. Again, society goes, oh. So the thing was like something about like, aren't you upset that you gave all these Gen Zs are like, oh, my feelings are important. And you know what? Your feelings are important. And the thing that people miss is that feelings don't always make sense, and they don't have to make sense. They're just a way of processing energy, and they're not logical. Just by nature, they're not logical, and we don't have to make them be logical. You're just allowed to have them, and it doesn't matter whatever. You're 28. Okay. So it just feels like working on, approaching things that way. I also think that, and they're also saying he's not quite ready yet, but he's getting there. So yeah, it feels like by the end of the year there might be like a miscarriage of 2023, and then a pregnancy in 2024. You know what's interesting is that we are still considered in adolescence well into our 20s, our brains. So, okay. Elena, do you want to, let me see your question now. Want to know more generally about love and what I need to know now. Okay. And Elena, I don't know how you found me, but I'm grateful for that you found me. Okay. Interesting. So I'm going to ramble my way through this because this is just what I keep getting is this feeling of rigidity. When I feel into your energy, and it might just be sort of like not knowing how it works. So it's like, there is that like hesitance. I don't get everything. Let me say that again. So I don't get, but it's just this sense of rigidity. Like even how I see the world is very like, it's not closed-minded, but it's a little bit more black and white. So, And let me say it this way. So I'm going to give you an example because I don't know anyway. I never thought I was a black and white thinker until someone sort of pointed it out in a way where I had a kid at this one place who the rooms were like they were basically a long-term care facility for children. And one of the little girls would come sometimes on respite, and she had CP just to give her family a rest. But she needed like a little bit more care, and like she couldn't just go to a friend's house or whatever because she was cognitively totally there, just had a lot of physical need and needed a lot of physical support. And so she was in this one room, and there was a kid who got sick with a respiratory thing, and it's called droplet precaution. So droplet is like the flu. So you need 3 feet. It's the virus is carried in the droplet. So pretty much 3 feet it drops within. It's not like a airborne type thing. And their beds were well more than 3 feet apart. And the one bed with a kid that was sick in it was well away from the door. So you could pass in and out without necessarily being in that, whatever. But they put the entire room on isolation. So this kid who's 14 years old was now stuck watching TV essentially all day and like having not a whole lot of interaction. And I was really frustrated about that and trying to advocate for her and get her out of the room so that she could ferment her own mental health and well-being. And I was saying, droplet precautions, 3 feet, like very rigid, very black and white, very like this is the standard operating procedure protocol everywhere for what droplet precautions are. And I never thought of that as black and white thinking, but it's pretty rigid. It just feels like having a bit of a rigidity of like, this is my routine, this is my plan, this is how I do things. Does that resonate when I say that to you, Elena? And it doesn't mean that you're like so rigid that even if something doesn't make sense, like if you find the logic and you're like, well, that's dumb because it's negated by X, Y, and Z, but it just feels like a little bit more rigid. And it doesn't mean you're mean or cold. It's just the energy feeling I'm getting there. And I also for love, I don't feel like you're in a relationship right now, or the only way I would feel like you were is if you were technically in a relationship, but there's nothing like there's no real emotional connection anymore. But that's why I don't feel like you're in one. And then it feels like, but I don't feel like getting into another real relationship for about 18 months. And it doesn't feel like because you're doing anything wrong. It feels like that person that's coming in has healing that needs to be done. Are you here, Elena? Boo. Elena, are you here? Elena, are you here? Hello? Are you guys hearing me? Is it dragging? Hello? I feel like somebody turned the lights out in the room and everybody's about to go. Everybody went silent. Not sure how I feel about this sweatshirt. It looked really cute on the model. I think I decided I don't want leggings. I've been buying sweats a lot lately. I've been having a lot of extra like sensory issues with seams. Seams have been bothering me lately. Elena, are you here still? Is anyone here? Can someone type something? Let me know who's here. Hello? Hello? Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Monica. It's like, I don't know if. Hi, Nicole. Where'd everybody go? I can't do a reading for you if you don't stay. Spiritual Seeker, are you here still? So these are paid readings. They're $12 a reading, and I donate 30% to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. If you want to follow me over on TikTok, I occasionally go live over there at least once a week, and it's usually around lunchtime. If you follow me over there, it's not guaranteed you'll get a reading, but I do bounce it out. I know you're like, you don't have a lot of people here, but that's just sort of the way I do it. So you're guaranteed one over here. If you want to do it for free, you can do it over there, or you can hit me up for a private reading. I was hoping, Elena, are you here still? Well, I answered your question, but you had another one if you wanted. Spiritual Seeker, are you here? You paid for a reading? Oh, and my over on TikTok, I'm my_spiritual_friend. So, Spiritual Seeker, are you here? Like, I don't have a long list today, so I'm not going to hang out if people aren't here. Sorry. Elena, Spiritual Seeker. Ooh. You're trying to pay Yvonne? Okay. I'll stay. I'll stay. It hasn't gone through yet, but I will stay. Elena. Oh, there you are. Oh. So I can't make any guarantees, but I'm going to give you what I get, okay? I started with just asking like what you're grieving, and it's like I just feel like it's a lot. So it's like they said to me, I don't know if you had a dog, but it's like the loss of a dog. And then but it just feels like also everything just being turned upside down. Like it was one thing after another. I feel like a loss of a friend, a loss of confidence, a loss of comfort. I just heard she's having a hard time eating. Have you been having problems eating? Like, are you, or you might need to catch up the time. You might be just slightly behind. I don't know if you can drag the little bar to be in time with what's going on. Yvonne, I got your payment, okay? Okay. So don't just tell me your daughter's first name, Yvonne. Spiritual seeker. I want you to catch up, and then I'll finish your reading. What's your daughter's first name, Yvonne? Oh, you're hearing me. Okay. So it's just this feeling of like everything kind of being turned up. Did you lose your dog? Why did I hear, or did you lose a pet? Oh, not you, Yvonne. I'm talking to Spiritual Seeker now because she's on here. Nope. Don't worry about the dog, Yvonne. This isn't for you. This is for Spiritual Seeker. Because I see her typing. Sorry, dear. Nope. The dog's not for you, Yvonne. There's a little bar at the bottom of your screen. Drag it all the way to the right. You might be just behind. Okay, Yvonne, I'm going to work with you, and then I'll look at Spiritual Seeker. So I'm going to look at Maritza. You're having a lot of problems with Maritza. I think that's what you said. Problems with your daughter. Okay. I'm only smiling because the Maritzas I have known in my lifetime are always very spicy. It's not a bad thing. Just they had stronger personalities. People will tell you I have a strong personality. It's interesting. So I'm asking, I'm like, well, like what's I keep seeing there's a little bit of alcohol being an issue, but I don't feel like she's really old, but I feel like she's old enough to know better. So I don't feel like I'm 10 or 12 years old, but I don't necessarily feel like, I don't feel like I'm, um, do you know if she has a drinking issue? So I do feel like the way they're showing me is this feeling of you having this vision of the way like wanting a mommy daughter relationship, and sometimes you feel like I'm just helping her, but the way it's perceived on her part is really like a lot of enmeshment and a lot of like trying to control. um I know you say she doesn't drink. There may be an occasional drink here or there. I didn't feel like um so to me it feels more of like I'm doing this to separate myself from mom, or I'm acting this way as it's like an acting out of behavior. um or a way of othering herself. Like, I'm not like that. You can still drag it on the phone. Um, so so it's like there's like it's not so much that like part of this is like I don't know if it's like developmentally appropriate or age appropriate that these kind of headbutting is happening, but it's also her frustration feels more of like you not taking responsibility for they're making me show it like I'm innocent. I don't ever do. And so she sort of like pushes back really hard because it's not ever validated or seen or heard like as like, oh yeah, I could have done that differently. She pushes harder. Um and they say the more you push to be like, I'm worried for her, the more she's going to run away. Not like physically run away, but emotionally try and avoid, and do something completely opposite. It feels like it would be good to obviously you have to set boundaries, but also take some responsibility yourself. Like, oh, I probably could have said that differently, or oh, I could. She's gonna be okay. I just feel like she's figuring out her own independence apart from you, and it feels like because you're so this is the better way to do it. This is the best way to do it. Why are you doing it that way? It's that feeling of why doesn't she trust me? Why doesn't she know I'm smart enough to do better? It's creating a rift. Um, we learn through our mistakes. So there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. Like, we learn through them. We don't learn from somebody always telling us what to do. We don't feel confident or safe in our own space if someone's always telling us what to do. Eventually you're going to die. I know that's a surprise, but eventually we all die. And don't you want her to feel confident in who she is and all the decisions she's making? So it feels like she's going to be okay, but you're making it worse in a way of like trying to do it for her. You're in a way, it's making it worse, where it's sort of like, okay, I trust you and it's okay if you make mistakes. That's how we learn. And I'm here if you need anything. And I'm sorry I didn't do this before. Like, take ownership of it. That's what they're showing me. I will tell you from my perspective, I don't expect anybody to be perfect. I recognize, like with my mom, my mom comes from a family that's like pretty interesting, to say the least. And my grandmother grew up in and out of an orphanage during the Great Depression. She was dropped out of school at a very young age, was rolling her own cigarettes at 9 years old, like lived a very different life than I lived. So I recognize that maybe she didn't have the same tools didn't have great tools in her toolbox for mothering. And that got passed down to my mom, and my mom like didn't do great either. The biggest breakthrough was not like, for me, I don't hold that over my mother's head. I recognize where it comes from, but just her taking ownership. Yeah, I know I didn't do a great job. That was huge. And I don't sit there and go, yeah, you're terrible, it's all your fault. But it's like just taking ownership of like, I didn't do this perfect. It feels like once you sort of take a step back. So like with my one daughter, I find that I just lay the ideas out there and then let her come to her own conclusion. Look, none of us are perfect, so I don't want you to feel bad about yourself. They're just showing me where it would help, right? The goal is not to make you feel bad about yourself, but if you want a better relationship, they're like, ownership in your part in it is really, really important, being self-reflective. But like with my one daughter, like I just like, so she was always having stomach problems. And I noticed a pattern, like she quit drinking milk for a while and then like didn't have stomach problems, her skin cleared up, everything else. So I just threw it out there. I was like, I just noticed it. I'm like, do whatever you want. You want to keep drinking milk, it's fine. I'm just noticing it. Then she started to notice the pattern. So then she started making choices. Not that she never has a milk product again, but she started recognizing, oh, there is a correlation. It's not mom telling me you can't have this. It's like, notice the. So I don't tell her you can't have this because it's not, your body doesn't like it. I just go, just notice this. Oh, it's okay, Elena. Don't apologize. I end up moving through. We always work it out. I thought maybe that was happening for a lot of people, that they were getting kicked out, is actually the feeling I got, was like that YouTube was kicking them out somehow. I don't know. Spiritual seeker. Let's see. How could we do this? I mean, you can text my business thing and I can just text you back if you want to do it that way, or if it's working here. So it feels like it'll get better, but there's like, healing that has to happen. And then also don't feel like this either, that like, oh, that I don't think she'll take advantage of it, but it feels like don't become the person then that becomes the punching bag because you feel bad that you weren't doing it perfectly. We all learn, right? And we learn through our mistakes. And sometimes as parents, we make mistakes as how we approach things. I mean, I feel terrible because I didn't know my daughter was autistic for a long time. So I'm probably on the spectrum. I have so many sensory issues and I was getting overwhelmed, and like, I can spend time beating myself up about it, or I can work to be better. Yeah. So you set boundaries, like it's okay to be mad at me. It's not okay to call me names. Because it is okay to be mad. It's okay. Like, I'll still love you if you're mad at me. You're allowed to get mad at me. You're not allowed to call me names. And so like when my kids are angry, I'm really mad at you right now. And I say, that's okay. It's okay to be mad at me. And I still love you. Because they need to know that. Like being mad at me is not a problem. It's okay. I'm not going to do things perfectly. And I'm going to set rules that are sometimes not going to make you feel happy, but they're for your safety. But I keep feeling like she's of the age where some independence should be there and some ability to make some choices and make mistakes should be there. And that's okay. She's not going to screw up her entire life. I don't feel like she's going out there to sell drugs and go to jail. It feels like she's just maybe she's not doing her homework in the time amount you want. Like it just feels like, is she a teenager? I just feel young, maybe early 20s. I keep hearing 17. She's 45. Well, really, you got to lay off then. It's okay. The reality is when they're 45, even if she's emotionally young and I'm feeling her like really young, like in her early 20s, she has to make her own mistakes and she can pick up her own mess for herself too. That's okay. That's okay. But you don't need to be enmeshed in her life and telling her what to do and how she needs to do it because she's 45. And she'll figure it out. But the boundaries are, and always set these boundaries. You can be mad at me. That's okay. At some point, she also needs to take it. Like, so you can say like, I didn't do a great job. Here's where I did a not so great of a job. I could have done it better. And I'm really sorry that I wasn't the parent that, knew that. I just didn't know that. Because the fact of the matter is like with my mom, you're probably about the same age as my mother. They weren't teaching us. Like I'm Gen X. We didn't literally. I watched E.T. like recently with my kids. We went to see it when I was in the theater for the day. And it was like Gertie, Drew Barrymore's little character, she had to have been in kindergarten or preschool because she was little and her brother was in elementary school. And her mom's like, okay, I have to go pick up your brother for school because he's drunk. And like leaving her home alone. Like there was this isn't a good idea. And it was just like, that was not abnormal. I went to bed at night. My mom was still at work because she was working, my mom was a single mom. So she was working not great jobs, like, $5 an hour jobs to try and make ends meet. And I'd wake up in the morning and she was gone for work. Like I didn't see my mom. But that wasn't abnormal. We didn't have after school enrichment programs and all of that. Like that was not abnormal because I knew other kids that had the same thing. So be gentle with yourself. It's okay to take ownership and still be gentle with yourself and recognize like that. Don't be a punching bag for her. It's okay to set boundaries when they're an adult. Absolutely. Anytime. It's okay to set boundaries with people. I'll talk to you as long as it remains like cordial. It doesn't mean you have to not talk about hard things, but we can do that in a healthy way. She probably is angry, but like at some point you have to take responsibility for your own actions and your own behavior. I don't feel like she's totally screwing up her life. I just feel like she doesn't want somebody else to tell her how to do it. And her behavior is a little immature and her communication is more like that of a 17-year-old. Is her birthday? What's the connection to 17? Does her birthday on the 17th? She kept being 17. 13. And even like my mom was a teacher. Like she was going back to school and stuff when I was little, and then she became a teacher, and so she had a little bit more normal hours. And I was like, because of TikTok and all this, and I was like, I think my one daughter is autistic. She's like, no. I mean, everybody told me no, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And she is. But I was like telling my mom why I think I am. And she'd always be like, oh, why you didn't crawl? You slithered, which is like a hallmark sign of autism. And so a few other things. There's like several other things. And several other things. And I could be angry that she didn't see it but they didn't know. They didn't know. You didn't know. You did what you did with the tools that you had, and you thought you were doing what was right, but you didn't have the tools. It's different. It's different, and you get it. So like there has to be some point where you just go, okay, yeah, I did things did happen and I did screw up, but so you'll be okay. She'll be okay. But it's also like not trying to fix it or make it better. Just clear, honest, open communication, hold your own boundaries, own your own stuff. And that's it. But you don't need to be a punching bag. But also don't tell her what to do and how to fix everything. And like, I'm worried about you. Like just, I trust you is a huge phrase that could help heal things. I trust you to make good decisions. I know you had to do a lot on your own for a long time, so I know you're capable. And I'm here to listen. I'm not here to be a punching bag. Okay? That's okay to say that. It's okay to tell people that. And it's okay to remove yourself if they don't honor it. And there's something about 17, and I don't know what that is. It might make sense later. Maybe it's when she was 17 years old, something happened or shifted. Maybe it is her behavior as like a 17-year-old. I see it. I see it, spiritual seeker. And then Elena, go ahead and ask your question. So spiritual seeker, I just thought I was asking about when I first connected, and I was asking about your and thank you for trusting me, Yvonne, with that and allowing me in. The first thing I asked about was sort of like what you were grieving, and I just saw everything being turned upside down, and I felt like the loss of a dog. It just feeling like things not working out. And maybe the loss of a friend, but I don't know if it's a physical loss or just losing friendships. So then I asked about 2023, and they say you're going to be okay. It feels still a little murky and sludgy through March. And then it's like April hits and it starts to get better. I feel like having a lot of anxiety and some dizziness. Are you experiencing vertigo or? Yvonne, this is for spiritual seeker. Your friend just died of cancer in November. Okay. I'm sorry for your loss, by the way. I'm sorry I didn't. Don't apologize, Yvonne. It's okay. You're very welcome. Sorry if the chewing's bothering anybody. Have you been having like dizziness? Jesus. Okay. So I want to say this to you. I know that you're grieving a lot, a little bit dizzy. Okay. It feels like it's related to needing to drink more water and maybe a little bit of a low blood sugar. So make sure you're eating and taking care of yourself. Um, Sometimes when we're going through a lot, we don't have the appetite or we just don't. Oh, I think I said that to you before that you're not eat like you're not something about eating. If you back up, I think I might have said that something about that. Um, they said you're handling it well given the circumstances, you're handling everything well. It's this really big feeling of making sure that you are gentle with yourself through this grieving process and understanding that like everything you're experiencing is valid and real and you're entitled to it. And there is no need to push yourself to feel better or more positive about it, right? Like some people go this toxic thing of like, oh, but at least I got to say goodbye, or at least I had the time with her. It could be worse. Like, it's okay to just be like, yeah, it could be worse, but it really does suck. And I'm having a hard time. What's ascot? What is that? Is that a soccer thing? Football? So it just feels like make sure that you're really gentle with yourself through that. So for 2023, what I keep feeling is like sludgy and kind of like still kind of dealing with a lot of this stuff through March, maybe the beginning of April. And in April, it starts to lighten up and feel better. Hello, welcome. I could answer that if you want. I can look at it. I don't know anything about. So usually, actually, if I don't know anything about a sport or whatever, but give me the names of the teams and I'll look at it. It'll be fun, just for fun. Since you're joking, I don't mind doing that for fun. Just don't bet on it and blame me. That's all I ask. um, um, what was I going to say? With your son's illness, is there something about like either like an esophageal like discomfort or blisters, or I don't know? It was this weird feeling in my throat. Iman, I'm serious. Go ahead, ask. I don't care. I get that this is kind of a weird thing for people. Or people think it's a bunch of horse shit. I don't care. My experiences are valid. Oh, he couldn't eat from August. Sorry. Like he couldn't keep any food down. Was that right? Didn't I tell you that it would get better? Do you have pain here? This is like, it feels like, so your kidneys, your kidneys hide behind your ribs in the back. And it feels almost like on my left kidney. Do you have pains there? Like it might be muscular. I don't know, but are you having a pain there? Because I wasn't feeling this earlier. England is playing France in the Soccer World Cup. See how much I don't follow sports? Like I don't follow any sports at all. Okay, so I'll look at that. Okay, I'll look at, give me a second. Let me just go through this. Will you hang out with me for a minute while I do that? Just let me, okay. Spiritual seeker. Sorry, I'm on EMOM's making me giggle. You're nursing bronchitis. I don't feel that. I just feel, did they check his kidney stuff? Because it might be a left kidney issue. I know, like, it's weird because I feel like whatever his thing is, it's not stomach related, even though he can't keep his food down. It's related to something else that's causing him to throw up. So have they looked at his kidneys? Have they done a kidney scan? Have they done I'm trying to think of what they call them. Like an MRI with and without contrast. And also, have they scoped his esophagus? Because when I first saw that, it felt like having sores in my esophagus, or having it, like maybe it constricts, or maybe there's what they call, what's the name of it? Like a stenosis where there's a narrowing. I had a kid, and I don't know that this is his problem, but it's like it's something that's not related to whatever it is. I had a kid who came in. I'm not going to say where I was working, but I was working with babies, and he came in because he was having episodes where he turned blue, and they were about to send him home that day, and then I came in, and I always wanted to work really closely with the OTs and learn all the techniques and the whatever, because I wanted to know that when I was at that bedside, I was doing the best that I could for those kids. And I said, well, I had an aide that day, and they were like, oh, I'll feed him. I've been feeding him. I was like, no, I want to feed him because if I'm supposed to send him home, I want to know whatever. And he did the thing. And so I stopped the OT and I asked the OT, whatever. Then they ended up keeping him and doing another test, and they sent him home with an NG tube, and came back in like a month later for surgery because he had an arterial ring that wrapped around his esophagus, and it would squeeze, and he'd like then aspirate. So it feels like whatever it is, it's like maybe it's the kidney that's like his left kidney or whatever, and it's creating something where I don't understand it because it doesn't seem connected, but it's connected. So whatever it is, it's just not, they'll find it, but it's definitely like outside the box of what they were looking at. So if they haven't looked at his kidneys, that maybe just ask if his kidney levels are okay. I don't even know that it's necessarily the arterial ring, but it's like the feeling that I keep getting is it's not what, it's off the beaten path a little bit. So it's like, have they done a scope in his esophagus? Do they see if he has these? But also, have they checked his kidneys? Like a full ultrasound or something. I don't know. It feels like something's not pinging because it's totally different than what, it's not where the natural thought process would go for the disease process type thing. But I feel like once March comes along, things start to get to better for you. So I don't know that it's like, it just feels like the weight is lifting off of you and things are getting better and you're feeling less stressed and you can move easier. I don't know, like there's not like a, you're going to win the lottery or this big, huge funnel of money is coming to you. It just feels like the weight is lifting, but it feels like it's sludgy through March. Like I'm trudging mud is the feeling I get through March, and like I'm kind of cleaning off, shaking it all off by middle of April. It's getting better. I know you want to feel better, but honor yourself where you are at in the process of all of this, because you have had a lot on your plate. And it's okay to just be like, allow other people to help you. You don't have to do it all. And also like be okay with like, my house is messy right now, or the laundry's not getting done, or I'm not on top of it the way I used to be. And don't beat yourself up for that, because it's okay to be wherever you're at and love yourself through it and know that you'll get better, but you got a lot and it's okay. Just be gentle with yourself. Alrighty, Mom. So, a lot of people have dreams of their dead friends because those are visitations, because that's where you are most easily connected, because you wouldn't believe it if they showed up in your day-to-day life. It's just an easy access. So honor it. Thank them for visiting you, as long as they're not giving you nightmares. Elena, are you here, dear? Because I want to answer your question too. You're welcome, spiritual seeker. I think it might be France that wins. It might be 2-0. I don't think it goes in over. I don't think you have like a third, right? It's 2 halves, and then I used to go to the soccer games, or football games, as you would call them. Elena, ask me your question. I think you said it before, but you wanted to know general, and I started to give you an answer, and then I couldn't find you and ask him. Oh, I know what I said. Okay, so this is what I said before, so I want to go back to that. So, okay, Iman, you have to come back on them next week. I'm here at the same time and tell me who won, or if I was right. I think it's going to be France. And I kept feeling like 2-0 is the score. So what I said before, Elena, about your energy was it felt really guarded and really like you have a personality that's like very black and white, right and wrong. And I gave an explanation of why, like, I never thought of myself as having black and white, but like, and then I gave a whole long explanation of it. I'm not gonna go back into it. And then I said, I felt like I was like, oh, I didn't really feel like I was in a relationship. So when you asked just now that you are in one, you're welcome. I didn't feel like you were in one. So what I had said was, if you are in one, it could be that there's a loss of emotional connection. And then I said, I didn't really feel like a thing kept again, or getting like an actual relationship for like 18 months. So because whoever this is coming and isn't ready for you yet. So I think you're a little delayed. I'm going to wait. Don't go back. Stay here with me. Stay here with me. Don't go back. So can you validate any of that? the feeling like guarded, really black. Things are really black and white, kind of a black and white thinking. And also, you said you're in a relationship, but I feel an emotional disconnect. I've been in people's homes when I know they're married, and I'm like, does not feel like they're married at all. So you can have a contract and not have a marriage. Don't go back. Don't go back. Elena, are you here? Oh, okay. Elena, don't go back. I feel like Titanic when she's like, Jack, Jack. Elena, don't go back. Okay. Okay. Does the relationship thing make sense when I say not emotionally connected? Like there's an emotional. Okay. Look on the bottom of the screen. There's a bar. Sometimes you have to like drag it over till you're caught up to the live. There's definitely a delay. So Christine, these are paid readings. They're $12 a reading. 30% goes to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. But I've got the list closed now because I've been on for quite a while. So I'm gonna head off for the evening. But if you follow me, give me a follow. I go live every Sunday, or you can follow me over on TikTok, which is my_spiritual_friend. And I do go on there occasionally, like once a week around lunchtime. I'm in the Eastern Standard Time. And I'll do live readings there for about an hour, but I don't guarantee that you'll get a reading over there. You will get one here because you're paying for it. Okay. So, Elena, see you next Sunday. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for the follow. Elena, it feels like, can you give me the name of the old person, the first name of the old person who's shown back up? I honestly, I'm going to say this. I don't feel like anything will come of it. It doesn't feel like rekindled flames. It just feels like conversations here and there for maybe about 2 months, and then it kind of drops off. Maybe stepping away from this current relationship in the next 2 to 6 months. I don't feel like staying there forever. Dan. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I don't feel like it's going to go. It just feels like conversations here and there. And I also feel like so it's like reminiscing about who you like. Maybe you really had a crush on him or really liked him way back when. So I'm just using this example of like, oh, I knew him in high school and we had so much fun, blah, blah, blah. But then through time getting to know him, you're like, oh, like we're really not. It's like a big stretch to find that much in common now. And so I had said the other thing I said was feeling someone coming in like 18 months. I mean, it could potentially be the person you're with now, but I don't get that feeling. Because again, I don't feel like you're in a relationship right now, which means there's a major emotional disconnect. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Who do you sense an emotionally disconnect? Anything more to that? Wait, why do I sense an emotion? So the reason why I feel that is because I don't feel a relationship. And that's what I've been taught over time. Like for my symbol is that like, if I don't feel like you're in a relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a partner. Obviously you're with somebody, but I don't feel there's a real relationship there. That's just not, the connection's not there. So they'll show it to me as not being in a relationship. I literally, when I used to go to people's houses to do readings, which I don't anymore because it's exhausting, beyond exhausting, unless it's like a party or some event. But I don't do individual private readings at people's homes. But I remember being in this one woman's home and she was married for 20 years and she had all the pictures around her room. I was like, that's weird because you don't feel married to me at all. Like their marriage wasn't a marriage. It was two people living together and sharing a home under, a contract. So it just feels emotionally disconnected to me. That's what it would be. I don't feel like fighting, screaming. Like I don't feel all that. It just feels not there. So it feels like that to me is an emotional disconnect. So it doesn't feel like I'm not even like going like, oh, somebody's having an affair. It's like, no, that you be perfectly faithful and not be available. I mean, I can be wrong. I don't want to be hurtful. I of course want everybody to have the happiest, most wonderful experience ever. It's just the feeling I'm getting. And again, I can be wrong. So don't take this as like, she said that, so now I'm doomed forever and we'll never, maybe it's that what comes in 18 months is this person that you're with works on all of their stuff. Cause I said that person's not ready yet. Like they have emotional, if you go back, they have emotional things they have to work on. But in like 18 months is when it's like not you that needs to be ready, it's this other person. So it could very well be that the person you're with gets their shit together and really works on themselves over the next 18 months. And so you remain together. But I don't feel like Dan's where it's at. Okay. Did you want to ask another question since you paid for two? Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing with my hands here. Okay, I'm gonna refund you then the other money because there's no reason for me to not do that. That's fine. I will do it right now while we're online, so then you can verify that you got it. I'm not here to take anybody for their money. Let me see how to refund it. I won't let me refund it here. Hang on. Let me do it online. Okay, there. I refunded it. You should have it back in your hot little hand. Okay? All right. So your money is refunded. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. I will see you next Sunday. Check me out on TikTok if you want, if you're on there. It's my_spiritual_friend. And I will see y'all later. Thank you for all of your patience and all the goofiness.